Welcome back. This is another episode of Going Big Time with Mike P. Guess what? I'm Mike P. Steve is behind the camera, like he always is. It's never a surprise. He's the go-to guy. He also set this little baby up. You can switch over here sometimes. It's kind of low, but that's, you know, it's an option. We got options. So, okay. You know what? We got some plans today. We got a whole agenda of things, okay? So here's what we're gonna go over. Today, we will be going over left foot technique and how to achieve comfort in the coordination of the left foot, as well as why we need it and why it's useful. Okay, so we're gonna break this up into sections, okay? One thing is about the technique of the left foot, because we haven't talked too much about that. We've done the bass drum one. That was semi-popular for my videos, so that's good too. But we're gonna be talking about this one. That's why we have this little camera right here, so you can see what the left foot does, how it affects the hi-hat. So we're gonna go over three main things, okay? I mentioned one. Technique, first section. And then the second section will be why we use the left foot with this type of stuff. And then the third thing will be practical exercises to get better at this type of thing. So, all right, let's jump right in. How about it? Right here. Let's look at this baby, okay? So, how I approach the hi-hat pedal is I treat it very similarly to the bass drum pedal, where, you know, I'm kind of at the sweet spot of the pedal, and then, which is like, you know, 2/3 of the way up. Sometimes I go higher on the left foot. It doesn't really matter to me. Bass drum, it's very important, but left foot, you can kind of go higher up and it's not gonna mess things up. In my experience, that might not be your experience, but that's my experience. So what we're doing is we're gonna be, yeah, kind of like where the pressure point of our foot is, which is usually the ball of our foot. That's gonna be, yeah, kind of 2/3 up the way the pedal, generally. And then we're gonna have our left foot kind of elevated, right? Our left heel, I should say. Our heel is elevated, just like it would be on the bass drum. Why do we do this? Well, this is to get us balanced. That's an important thing, because thing we want is we need good posture, right? I went over this in the previous video, but this is all part of it, okay? So we have good posture, but we want to be able to do anything we want with our feet in any kind of combination. And I'm not like falling out of my seat or falling forward, right? I want to be able to, right? Do anything. Not falling over. I'm still sitting here, okay? That's my point, is we want to have that balance, right? So we're using our legs' weight. That's kind of the main thing, is we want to do as little work as possible, just like in life, right? We just want to like do the least amount of work and get the most payoff for it, right? That's our left foot. So to get the tight hi-hat sound, we just lift our heel a little bit. We get that, right? And so to close it, it's already closed, I get it. But to get like a good chick sound, right? I'm not necessarily coming off the pedal, like leaving the pedal completely. I'm just kind of like pushing up my weight and then dropping that weight, right? So that's like a 1, 2, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You kind of are utilizing those like nervous muscles, you know, that like, oh, I'm scared, I'm at the dentist. But that's the muscle we want, okay? Because those are quick, those babies are fast. And this will help kind of develop control of those muscles as well. Because, you know, when you're doing this all the time, it's kind of out of control. And we want good eighth notes, at least, okay? So that's the like technique of it, right? Section 2, why? Why do we need to start thinking about our left foot? Well, here's the thing. it adds a layer of coordination, and so we need to address that. But why? Why do we need to address that? Why do we even need to get this thing going? Well, because to me, this left foot action, right? This closing of the hi-hat using our left foot, there are many reasons to use it. One for, yeah, quick openings, like we're doing the typical stuff, like whatever, blah, blah, blah. So that kind of stuff, obviously. But what my main purpose of going over this today is the ostinato vibe, okay? So that means, what do I mean by that? What I mean is doing quarter notes, doing eighth notes, or doing upbeat, like upbeat eighth notes, right? So only the ands. And the reason we would do this, to me, again, going back to the main point, is that it will help unify all of what we're doing on the drum kit. So it's gonna help kind of keep the continuity from drum beats back to fills, out of fills, back to drum beats, right? It allows us to kind of let go of how we think about maybe counting even, right? Because what I think of, especially when doing eighth notes on the hi-hat with the left foot, is when I'm doing a fill, I already have the feel and knowledge that my right hand playing 16th notes, if it's landing with the hi-hat, that's on the numbers and the ands. If it's my left hand, it's gonna be between the numbers and the ands. And of course, that's the E's and the U's. But of course, that will change. There's gonna be things I do where right hand leads stuff, right, where that's gonna not maybe be the case all the time, but it is a good, helpful indicator of where just all the numbers and the ands are, or just the numbers if you're doing quarter notes. So it kind of frees you up to know, like, okay, this thing is where that fundamental like pulses, and then I'm gonna do stuff around it, but as long as it lines up with this, right? So it kind of helps police things, but it also helps add a texture, because this is a percussive sound, you know? So if we're like, whatever, it's just like another right? And the technique of that helps a lot, because we want that solid chick. We don't want, unless you're going for that. I don't know. I'm not going to judge you. But we just want it to be precise, clean, and, you know, consistent. That's what we want as drummers. Most musicians, right? We want to sound consistent. So that's the deal, right? So just to demonstrate what I'm talking about here, let's do some eighth notes, like kind of what I did in the intro. So eighth notes, meaning I'm going to play eighth notes on the ride, one of these two beautiful babies, and my left foot will just mirror that. It's going to play exactly the eighth notes also, okay? So then that also frees up my right hand to do some more fancy stuff, and then go into fills, come back out of it, right? So 1, 2, 3. All right, so there's that. Downbeats, upbeats in the left hand. I can kind of play around with that. And I feel more secure. It's just to add security. It's like a big weighted blanket for us, is this left foot, right? Once we get good at it, it's a little hard at first. So that brings us to the next thing. All right, to get started with this, let's re-reference the old bass drum fluency. Steve? Maybe it'll go there, that little YouTube-y thing, right? They do that. We do that. Steve does that. So that's a reference to bass drum fluency. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's old as hell at this point. This room looks weird. I'm weird. You know, more weird. So yeah, but it's good material, so check it out. But either way, whatever, here we go. So we're gonna do bass drums on all the numbers, all the E's, all the ands, and then all the uhs, okay? What are we doing? So we're gonna have our right hand, 8th notes here, snare drum 2 and 4. This baby will start on quarter notes, then we'll stop, and then we'll do another thing. So we're gonna do quarter notes here, 2 and 4, 8th notes, run through the bass drum thing. So we'll do I'll try to do 2 bars each, okay? So quarter notes, then E's, then ands, and then uhs, okay? So here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. Number 2. Let's do the ands here. This one's tricky. You might not employ this much when playing, but you might. It's kind of funky, so I would check it out. So let's do this one. So this one now, same stuff in the foot, right hand, left hand, but we're now gonna do 1 and 2 and, okay? Through all the same cycle, 2 bars each. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's that. That one's not as easy. So, but it's fun. It's a good one to try to get. So try to get that one. It's good for you, you know? Eat your broccoli. Here we go. Then, last but not least, what I demonstrated in the previous section, 8th notes, right? So we're doing 8th notes here. Same thing, right? So we're just trying to get that coordination down between the left foot and the right foot among these hands pattern too, even though they're basic, whatever. Still can be a challenge, right? If you haven't approached this stuff before, even if you're intermediate, this is like one of those things where I give, you know, a student who has been playing a while, they used to take lessons or whatever, this is tricky. So all of this, not just this one. So, you know, challenge yourself. It's good. 8th notes. Here we go. 3, 4. Pretty cool. Whoops. So those are all of them that we have, right? That's quarter notes, ands, and then all the 8th notes. It's all about getting that coordination down because this is going to apply to so many other things, and it's going to help you with so many other things. Get into it. Segue. Another way to get really weird with our left foot to just get unnecessarily comfortable, right? Trademark, unnecessarily comfortable. That's cool, I like that. That's gonna be a song name, I'm gonna write that. Okay, so let's get our right foot off the bass drum. Let's not even think about that. Bass drum, out, get out. So what we're gonna do, focus on you, okay? We're gonna do some left foot. We're gonna pretend this baby is the right foot. And this is purely just to, you know, explore what our right foot has always done. And it's like playing wherever it wants to, right? Rude. Now this baby's gonna try it, okay? So just think of like bass drum patterns you've done, right? Like what I just went over, the bass drum fluency page. So let's start with that, just to see what it's like. So we're gonna do the numbers, then the E's, then the ands, then the uhs, while we're doing 8th notes here, snare drum 2 and 4, okay? Let's see what happens. It's gonna start easy, but then it'll get weird. Let's see if I mess this up. I don't know. Here we go. Rush that end, but you get the idea, right? So you can kind of play around with that in terms of like, see where else you can get comfortable with putting the left foot, the hi-hat pedal, right? Just to challenge your coordination, challenge your brain to do something different, right? Because we always think of bass drum doing these types of patterns, right? This is gonna be very different because it's the whole other side of us. So let's like do a simple drum beat, right? I'll play here just to keep it cool. Now let's do this other ride. Look at this baby. You can't see it because there's no camera for that. Thanks, Steve. Sorry. Stupid. I'm gonna do a video about these one day because they're so cool. Okay, here it goes. Ready? We're gonna play some drum beats, but instead of bass drum, using the left foot. Here we go. Ready? Rushed it, but that's the idea, right? We just get like weird with it and see what we can do. Play with a metronome. I'm not playing with a metronome. You should probably practice with a metronome. But yeah, the doubles are a little hard, but you know what? That's a good thing to work on too, is yeah, doubling all of those possible 16th notes, like doing all the consecutive like 1 and E, or the E and the and, or the and the or the 1 and the right? Because you never know when you might need that and might use it. So let's check these out. That's only if you want to go big time.